Tick, 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 tick. Boom. Yes, you beautiful people. You know exactly where you are because, as always, you have found your favorite podcast, my favorite podcast, everybody's favorite podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just finding it for the very first time, congratulations. You have just found the Meltdown, and we'd like to welcome you to our Meltdown family in the finest way. My name is Tom Finkill. I am the Manchester rep for the Meltdown crew. Yes, I am sat here in my bomb shelter getting prepared to put one of professional wrestling's greatest historians and journalists under that microscope. Yes, our magnifying glass from Sherlock Holmes has made its way up from Baker Street to Manchester, and we are going to pry open the doors of possibility. Yes, the knowledge is going to spew, and we're going to take a little trip to the corral. Ladies and gentlemen, before we do that, it would be remiss of me if I didn't address the finest man in any room. He is my tag team partner. I am so proud to call him my friend. I reach out every week for the hot tag, and he takes it. Ladies and gentlemen, he's a three-time tag team champion of the world and a 2026 Wrestling Life Hall of Famer. He is an icon. He is the creation of devastation. He is Brian Clark.
Wow, the Tomcat is on fire as usual. Well, nothing new, right? We get that each and every Monday. This is the Monday Meltdown. He is the Tomcat, the three-time UK host of the year. And yes, he's going to have some big-time guests coming to the UK in February, something that we will touch on just a little bit later. But Tom, I have been excited for, I don't know, a couple of weeks. We tried to get this gentleman back a few months ago. I ran into him in New Jersey. We touched base and lucky enough to have him today with us. And I'm excited. I mean, if you're not listening, you're not subscribing, you're not liking this broadcast, then you're not a true wrestling fan. That's all I got to say. I'm going to leave it there. I'm not going to go overboard here. Tomcat, would you concur?
This is the one that I've been waiting for. I've literally been chomping at the bit and ready to sit under the learning tree because our guest today has over 50 years in the business. The knowledge is going to spew and my ears are open. I am literally salivating for our guest this Meltdown Monday. So Brian, I'm going to pass it over to you, brother, for the big intro. Let's kick it off and divulge to the Meltdown universe exactly who's joining us.
You got it, Tomcat. Today, here on the Meltdown, we are joined by one of the most recognizable and respected figures in professional wrestling media. As Tom said, with over 50 years covering the industry through legendary wrestling magazines that defined an era. Everyone remembers Pro Wrestling Illustrated, The Wrestler, Inside Wrestling, to bringing in a new generation. That's right, a new generation with Apter's Alley, One Wrestling, and Apter Chat, documenting wrestling history from the inside. Now let's dive into some stories, controversies, and a memory of lifetime inside the business. Ladies and gentlemen, he is a proud member of many a Pro Wrestling Hall of Fames. And today, our distinguished guest, the iconic and legendary Mr. Bill Apter.
Whoa! First of all, you guys have to come up with some energy. I need some energy. Tom, you're using your hands so well, and you're saying that Bryan is the main man in the room when you asked Wonderful Willie to come here and be the main man in the room. So I don't get it.
As soon as you start hitting meltdowns, Bill, then we'll have a discussion about the finest man in the
I
room. But
have
right
hit,
now,
I have hit the meltdown. I just had a melted grilled cheese sandwich before I came on here. So I am totally melted down. I am, as Pedro Morales would have said, I am ready for any kind of action, baby.
well, we
Love
are
it.
ready to give it to you, right, Bryan? I'm going to kick straight off with Bill and go straight
By
in.
the way,
Hard to beat.
before you say anything else, I
Sure.
want to show everybody that I am so psyched and ready to come to Manchester. I've been studying up on my bad British accent. You know what my favorite British accent is?
Tell me all about it.
In the movie The Invisible Man with Claude Rains, the horror movie, the black and white movie, there's an old char lady downstairs in the bar, and she goes up to knocks on Claude Rains' door. He opens the door, he's got the bandages on, and he says, "So you want to see my face, don't you?" And he starts to take the bandages off, and he's invisible. And she goes, "Ah, he's got no face." That's my favorite British accent.
Oh, there you go. I'm tickled pink. I'm going to have to. I'm going to have to throw some real British idiosyncrasies at you throughout the course of this show.
Oh, I got a
So
bunch of them.
you've got a bunch of them. Well, get ready to jump over the moon because I'm over the moon to have you on this show.
Oh,
Let's
thank
kick
you.
things off. So, Bill, your professional wrestling career has lasted over 50 years. But what I need to ask you is, looking back, how would you describe your journey covering the industry of pro wrestling?
The luckiest person in the world to be accepted back in the days where if you said the wrong thing to the wrong person, you might have your legs broken the next day. You'd be thrown out of the business completely to gain the confidence and the friendship of people in the business throughout the days from Bruno Sammartino all the way to today, where unfortunately they've opened the book in Unreal where they tell where it took me so many years to gain trust and keep the secrets of what we do in the business. Now they're giving it away to everyone. But yeah, I'd say I'm the luckiest person in the business because I'm not a pro wrestler except for my cow championship office wrestling title, which I've defended in many offices against some of the greats in the world. But for someone who never got in there, started off, I wanted to be an entertainer, have my own variety show on TV like Andy Williams and Flip Wilson and all these people. And the wrestling world was my way of getting into the entertainment field long before we called it entertainment. It was pro wrestling, it was competition. And to me, it still is in so many ways. Does that kind of give you an answer?
A 1000%. It rings every bell that I could have expected, and
Thank you.
it
Thank you.
is. It's so wonderful to see that your career has stretched over so many wonderful
It's
decades,
still there. I'm
and will
still doing it.
continue. That's right. We are so ready to welcome you to Manchester. Let's keep that trend rolling. Well, that
Well,
definitely
by the
satisfied my
way,
appetite.
in Manchester,
Hmm.
not only will I be doing signing autographs for people who want my autograph, photos, one-on-one interviews where you can do an after chat with me interviewing you for like 2 minutes. We'll work something like that out. And my one-man show, which is not like every one-man show I've ever been to, because every one-man show in the wrestling business I go to is so heavy about what's wrong. This is an entertainment show. There's contests, there's music, there's fun. It's fan interactive, and I can't wait. I can't wait for you. Are you both going to be there?
Just the Tomcats coming to this one.
Oh,
We've
you
got to
got
get
him.
Brian
You
out of the
got
hole.
him out again. You got it. You're stopping him again.
I know. Honestly, he is so hot that I can't let him leave the bomb shelter of Arizona. He would scorch it up too much over here in the UK. Let's keep the bomber exactly where he is. But just resonating from what you were just saying there in regards to creating a light and entertaining atmosphere, that's exactly what we like to do here on the Meltdown. We don't like to think of ourselves, as some do, as the dark side of the ring. The Meltdown is very much the flip of that coin. We are officially the light side of the ring. We like to promote good mental health and well-being.
You're more like the melt up instead of the meltdown.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
You got it, Brian. Are we rebranding?
No, but I'll tell you, I to sort of follow up what Bill said, I can vouch that he is the entertainment. He is at every event I've been to in the East Coast, and back in September, get to see Bill again. It was so fun having, when you're there with him, he does make it an event. He makes it fun.
Thank you.
And everybody, he goes around to different tables and just chops
I
it up.
work the room.
You do.
I work the room.
Yeah. And you do it fantastically. We love it.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
don't stop.
Now, I couldn't do that back in the day with Vince Sr. and, all the other promoters back there. Bill was a photographer. I couldn't bring out the real me until I started when I was not working for, but doing segments on Jim Crockett's promotions, when they gave me that PWI scouting report segment that I did for almost 2 years. I was able to come out and show people who I am. Before that, it was just.
Oh, yeah. And we're going to cover some things you just mentioned. And I know he's probably going to be listening to this a little bit later, but you mentioned all of the interactive, how it's happening at all the shows. And then do you even remember, I know you probably do, you got Sean Stasiak to walk to Here She Comes, Miss America. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah. What I do is, and I
You got him to hold something.
No, this is something I do. And I might do it in England, but nobody knows that song anymore. But what I do is I tell a male about there's a new drunken driver's test, and pick a male to do it. And I say, hang on a minute. I say, let's do this here. Take your right hand, put it on your head.
This is
Take
Sean.
your left hand, put it up in the air, and take 5 steps to make sure you're not drunk to me. And then I'd sing, there she goes, Miss America. I've gotten a lot of wrestlers to do that. The best one was Ronnie Garvin, because he's a man's man.
Oh, yeah, man. I didn't.
Oh man,
that's a bucket list right there. Great.
He was the best one.
Hands of stone above his head. Wow.
Bill can work the room. I want to ask you this, Bill. Like during the height of kayfabe, when some of the wrestlers were really guarded, they guarded their persona so much. Did you ever encounter anyone that refused interviews, that just would completely shut it down and refuse media access during the height of kayfabe, or just throughout your experiences?
And I'm going to speak about a person.
Sure.
A long time for me to get the trust. And he was one of my favorite people. And everybody's going to go, oh, come on, after nobody liked him. Ole Anderson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Ole and Gene, they didn't want to break kayfabe at all. I'd hear, I loved Ole. The guy would come over, Ole, what do you want me to do for my finish tonight? I don't give a damn what you're going to do. Go and do your freaking job and then come back tomorrow. But if I wanted to interview him, he said, what do you want to talk about? And that's not the Cody Rhodes line, but what do you want to talk? And I'll tell him. He says, F off. So after a little while, I said, I was going to ask you a question, but I'm just going to voluntarily F off. And he started to find me funny. But him back in the early days, Dick the Bulldog Brower. Oh my goodness. Yeah, he was really one of the biggest ones where he'd do interviews for me. But I keep in mind that most of my interviews from back in the magazine days everything was in kayfabe. We were like the Sports Illustrated or Pro Wrestling. We stayed in character. Right. Even if, somebody like Hulk Hogan would say, hey, you guys can write it, just stay in my character, and I trust you, this type of thing. But yeah, a lot of people back in the early 70s until they would see themselves in the magazine and realize this guy's okay. But it was all word of mouth from when Bruno Sammartino told a lot of the guys that this guy's okay. It just kind of steamrolled in the East. And then, I'd go to the NWA and Sam Muchnick, he knew that I worked for Stanley Weston, who was a friend of his. And he knew Stanley wouldn't send me unless I was smart to what was going on. But I always knew when to talk, when to listen. And then guys would, some of them would start letting me in on finishes. And I said, don't. It spoils it for me. So, yeah.
You mentioned that just those two names with Ole and Gene. The guy who helped train me and helped me get into this business, Jody Hamilton, the
Oh, yeah.
Assassins, were they like that also?
Jody was a little more open with me.
Okay.
He really was. Yeah, Jody knew what the magazines were all about. And it was funny. There were some guys who didn't care about the magazines. They didn't need or want the publicity. But then after a while, they might start cooperating if they wanted to be. And I said, if you don't want to cooperate, it's fine. We're going to write a story about you anyway. So, and we do that. There are some guys that would look at a story and say, why did you write that about me? I said, well, I tried to get some quotes from you. And so we made you up. They said, well, you did a freaking good job.
Okay.
We played the characters. We morphed into the characters. A lot of the promoters at the most notorious one was here in the East. He worked for Vince McMahon, Phil Zacco. He he ran me out of every dressing room. The wrestlers would say, Phil, I don't want them here. I don't want them knowing my business. I don't want, he didn't. So I always stayed away from Philly because he would on the night Bruno was going to lose the title to Superstar Graham, and I had gotten calls from several people to be there. That was one of Zacco's clubs. So that night, Vince McMahon Sr. pulled him out of there so we could all take pictures.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nothing but history.
Great question.
History, right.
When you say I'm a historian, I can't remember any dates. Somebody say, when did Ric Flair beat so-and-so? No clue at all. But when you say I'm a storyteller and I can tell what's, my book right behind me here is Wrestling Fixed. I didn't know it was broken. That book is storytelling. It's no exposés, nothing like that. It's storytelling, and that's what I like to do. I do that in my one-man show too. I love to tell stories. I'll have an open session about who do you want to hear? Who do you want to hear about? So yeah.
Well, let's find out, because there is one very, very hot topic right now that lots of you have literally dropped hundreds of messages through to our Meltdown service. Literally hundreds about one particular person.
You're wondering if my Tic Tac candies, as Teddy Long would say, are Tic Crack. No, they're not. They're actual Tic Tac. So clear that up in case that was some of the 100.
Shout out to Teddy Long, by the way.
Yes.
Big shout out to Teddy. Love it. Okay.
By the way, since I'm coming to Manchester, beside the payment, I need some orange Fanta and Roundtree fruit gums, my favorite candy in the world.
Roundtree's fruit gums. I will make sure that Roundtree's fruit
not
gums.
These ones with sugar, it's got to be the fruit gums.
Okay, so it's not the fruit pastels that are covered in sugar. It's the fruit gums. Okay, right. Yes. That's
all right.
Fine.
Back to you. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm still fizzling over orange Fanta, because I do feel that America's orange Fanta is far superior to the UK.
Totally. No, it's totally different. What I do to make my British Fanta, there's a drink here, my favorite drink is called Sparkling Ice. And I buy the orange mango and I pour out about 2 inches of it and I put in pulp orange juice, and it tastes like orange Fanta from UK.
I will make sure to come and bob a little trip over to your table with some fruit gums and some orange Fanta for you.
Oh, I love it.
All right, we're talking about characters, and one of the pro wrestling world's hot topics and biggest characters of all time is the status of Vince McMahon. You've had numerous dealings with Vince over the years. How would you compare Vince's WWF and WWE era with today's product under the TKO ownership and Triple H's creative direction? And also, the question, as we've just alluded to, that the fans keep asking is, do you think that we could ever see Vince McMahon involved in the WWE again?
Unquestionably, no.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no. I'm gonna temper that. I don't think TKO wants to be associated with him while he's got all these legal things hanging over him. Just my just my feeling. But somewhere down the road, which is one of my favorite Barry Manilow songs, but somewhere down the road, I think maybe for a surprise appearance, I had heard that he was going to Saudi Arabia. So because we're recording this before Saudi Arabia, maybe he's going there as a viewer. But do I think he will be there in a long time? Are we going to see him soon? To quote him, no chance in hell. I really don't think so. So the difference between the Vince Jr. era and the TKO era is the Vince Jr. era kept the house shows running, which to me was so important for the fan to get more up close and personal with WWF, WWE. Today with TKO, this is a world stage. Not that it wasn't under McMahon for a long time, but it seems like they're just branching out and going over to Europe, to Saudi Arabia, and places that, I mean, when I first heard the Royal Rumble was going to Saudi and then the 2027 WrestleMania going to Saudi, my thoughts were, are all the PLEs going to start coming from Saudi because of the financial things that they're going to? Yeah, it's all about, it's what's Shane McMahon's thing? It's about the money, right?
Here
That's
comes the money.
right. So do I think Vince Sr., not Vince Sr., Vince Jr., Vinny would have done the same thing with the money on the table? Maybe, but I think TKO is like, we're doing it, period, the end. Now, what I'm curious about are the wrestlers. I don't call them the workers. I call them the wrestlers. So Saturday, the talent is in Riyadh, and Monday, they're here in Philadelphia. That's got to be a killer for any of them that are in, even if they're in the Royal Rumble for 5 minutes, just that trip back to Philly and to wrestle for or do anything. I mean, gee, it's like an impossible schedule. People said that since Vince left, it's less of a schedule because of the cutoff and the spot shows. But look where they're going. They're going all over the world more so than ever. So, but getting back to your question, I think if Vince's legal worries clear up, I think they will bring him back. And the shock value of that is going to make the ratings soar. You're going to have some fans that are going, how could you bring him back after what he did? But the majority of fans can't wait to see him back. And I'm not talking in an administrative uh, place. I'm talking about on TV.
Yeah, we're
So
going to see
that's
that strut again, right, Brian? I think we're going to see it. The shoulder pads are going to be up.
maybe you just got to watch those knees on the side of the apron. It'll be all right.
Yeah, yeah, to manage somebody. No, but keep in mind, Triple H is an old school fan in a new
Yes.
school world, and he's
Mhm.
doing the best he can. I don't see you. Look at the product. How many times a week that they're running TV shows? This is like you going out and producing a, a televised variety show 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah.
You've got your head's got to explode. And yes, he has a really good, talented group of people working around him, but ultimately he's the blame, whether it's positive or negative. And I personally think for all he's got to do, he's doing a hell of a job.
Well, you
Everybody
mentioned
wants to criticize. Everybody
yeah,
wants to go in
yeah,
and
right.
knock
And you mentioned
everything.
you're correct. Absolutely. like you mentioned, the travel. I mean,
Man,
Saudi international, right? Some of the days have dropped down as far as on the road, but now they're actually making them back up as far as a lot, the events that are live on television. So, and that is a huge production. It's an all day thing. It's not like, well, I'll show up at 7 o'clock, 7:30, I'll get dressed and I'll be in the ring
talk
by
about the finish and we'll go out and do it.
yeah. It's from that morning until midnight. And then
It's not championship wrestling from Florida, my friends.
it's not. I'm going to keep that. Yeah, keep rolling with that. I got a question for you. To circle back earlier, we were talking about your magazines, and I pulled up just an
Now
older
remember, they
issue.
weren't my magazines.
Well,
I was the
okay,
face of the company. Okay.
all right, but you had a huge hand. Am I right in putting together these top tens, the tag teams, the most
Yeah,
popular, the most
I
hated?
did the ratings. Yes.
Okay, so I'm just looking over some of these different promotions that you were covering: NWA, WWF, of course, AWA, World Class, Stampede, CWA, WWC, which is Puerto Rico, and then you had the singles ratings, the tag ratings. I mean, you were
Married
covering,
rate, not just singles ratings, married ratings. Go ahead.
correct? Yes, yeah, and I mean, it's amazing how much some of the different promotions you were covering. I mean, that had to be a full-time job itself.
Every Monday morning and through the day on Monday, I would call every office,
Wow.
every territory, every office. They all knew who I was. Some of them gave me advance information. I'd say to Vince Senior, we're putting Strongbow number 3, and he says, "Well, when's this magazine coming out?" I said, 3 months from now. He says, "Well, put Putski over Strongbow, make him 2, make so." So
Wow.
periodically, he wouldn't directly tell me what was going on, who they were going to push, but it was a suggestion.
A little
And same thing
inside
with
information.
Jimmy Crockett opened up to me a lot. The relationship with him was amazing because once the WWF banned all the magazines from shooting pictures and doing interviews, Jim Crockett Promotions became a focal point, and he was brilliant that he took advantage and publicized us on TV, like I said, and we made them the NWA World Championship the major title. And Vince Jr., when we were thrown out, he didn't care. So because he had
And
his
that's
own
the
magazine,
yeah.
so I got it. I got
I
it.
was going to say that's the reason he took you guys away from that is because the WWF magazine was out and about, and that would
I'm going to tell you
be a
something
good
you
hit.
don't know about. You don't
Let's hear
know
it.
about. When he first had the magazine, he offered me a job, and I
Wow.
was very, very glad. But I said, I'm not leaving Stanley Weston. He's given me my break in this business. So he came up with a magazine called Victory. What he didn't realize is in the upper hand left corner of a lot of the old magazines, it said Victory Sports Series, which
Mhm.
Stanley Weston owned that title. So Stanley went to his legal people and had them contact McMahon's legal people that he couldn't call it Victory. And that's how the WWF magazine came into existence because he couldn't use Victory anymore. Did
Wow.
you know that?
No.
No, I did not. No.
Scoop, scoop.
Everyone in Meltdown Land, listen up. As usual, Bill Apter, scoop after scoop, and we love it.
That's it. We need to put massive asterisks just saying exclusive everywhere. We should.
Yes,
That's
and
it.
I'll be doing a lot of that during my one-man show. So you fans watching in the UK, if you're coming to my show, come loaded with questions, but be ready for fun. No, nothing, nothing heavy. Well, maybe one or two things. But that's it.
I
All
can
right,
wait.
well, let's keep fun on literal tip of our tongues. Let it bubble, because right now we are going to invite you to play one of our game show aspects here on the
Ooh,
Meltdown. As I'm going to invite you to dig deep. Now, being a connoisseur, a savant of professional wrestling for so many wonderful decades, you've been here, there, and everywhere. But I'm going to invite you to narrow it down just a little bit, and we are going to resculpt the faces of Mount Rushmore and Bill Apter. I'm going to
Oh,
invite you to put together your Mount Rushmore of not just people, but your 4 favorite territories. That's what we're going to look towards. Your
Oh, okay.
4 favorite territories.
4 favorite territories.
Brian, you
Um,
can feel to jump on this as well if you want to have a think. Well, I think I'm completely kayfabing Brian. I kept this completely
keep in mind,
completely away from him. So
And,
keep
and
in
that is
mind,
okay because I want to hear this list. It's got,
keep in
this,
mind that I go back to 1970.
right.
mhm.
So everything has changed. So I'm going with my history
Love it.
now. Okay. Remember, I was at Madison Square Garden once a month for like 15 years. So
Yeah.
I've got to put the WWF from a coverage point of view, but I'm not giving them number one. It's
Okay. Okay. We're holding back.
so wait, how do we want to approach this? With the way I was treated, with the way, how do you want me to create this? Because there's different ways I can create this.
Well, as we are all about positivity, let's work on the basis that you're going to pick your Mount Rushmore based on the positive reception that you received there, the
Oh,
positive impact and the smiles that you got when when you walked into those different territories.
let's say Jim Crockett Promotions,
Okay, great.
Championship Wrestling from Florida,
Yeah, nice.
WWWF.
3 W's right there.
Yes, the original one, and Von Erich's. They
Oh,
treated me
that's
like a fifth Von Erich.
A
wow.
little WCCW to bring it
Wow.
home. I love it.
Fantastic.
That is a foursome, Brian.
Yes, and I love the fourth choice with Texas. That's great, man. For some reason they not that they get overlooked, but there was just so much stuff in the Northeast. It seemed like it, or
Oh,
the East Coast. You know what I
but
mean?
when I was down in Texas, the Von Erichs treated me like family, except for one time, and that's in my book. And if you read my book, and if you're not, get the book. It's still on
Get the
Amazon.
book.
And you
That's
can
right.
also get the audio version where I do a lot of imitations of a lot of the people I talk about.
Perfect segue because we're
Oh,
going to do a little ticker tape across our screen here to let everyone know where they can get your book. Okay. But also, while we're down in Texas,
I'm in Texas,
we're
baby.
down in Texas, but we're
Yes.
not going where you think we're going. We're going to a place called the Double Cross Ranch. And do you know who lives there? Tell me, Bill. I need that voice.
Well,
The
first of all, you're being a pain in my butt asking that because all Apter was a pain in my ass. Can I take your damn picture? Can I do? And Junior, where are you tonight? Where are you tomorrow night? It's terrible. Apter was a pain in my ass, right, Junior? Junior? What do you call Apter? Mr. Apter. I.
fantastic.
Those are the only 2 words I can say as Dory Junior. Mr. Apter.
Uh, Terry Funk was absolute. I'd heard that you do that
Oh,
impression
thank
a
you.
few different shows, and I was like, man, I got to get him to do some funk. No doubt about it. You
He
delivered.
was one of my best friends in the business. I loved him so very
Yeah.
much. Um, but he was always so cooperative that when he had that fake NWA belt made up and he came to New York and Craig Peters, one of our other editors, and I took him into Midtown Manhattan. He walked around with the belt and people, tourists in Rockefeller Center from Japan, oh, Teddy Funk, they all knew who.
Yes. I got to do a Japanese tour with Terry Funk, and man, he was
Me too.
so much fun. Oh yeah, I love being around him. Always made me laugh. Great fun, on the tour bus with everybody. So
Yep, yep.
love being around him. Yeah,
One day we should do a whole hour on Terry Funk stories.
I would love it because I'm a huge fan of the movie Roadhouse, and of course Terry's all over it. So I love him. Let me
Three
ask you
o'clock
this,
in the
Bill.
morning. Three
Yeah,
o'clock in the morning. I'm lying down in my hotel room in California, and Funk's in the same hotel. Calls me at 3 a.m. After, I need you to come to my room. I says 3 after, I need you to come to my room. So I go there, And he's sitting there in his underwear and he hands me some paperwork. So what is this? I'm auditioning for a show called Wild Side tomorrow morning. I need you to cue me. Sat there for 3 hours doing that script with him. Yeah.
And wow, running lines
Yeah.
with the great Terry Funk. I mean, they're getting better than that, right? It's
Oh,
amazing.
not at all. Not at all. I was there with he and his dad when he debuted at Madison Square Garden. Dory never worked back in the old WWF at Madison Square Garden. Terry and his dad came in one time, and so many great stories. I remember when his dad, when I was in Michigan, was hitting up on this beautiful woman at a bar, and he told her that I'm a Playboy photographer, and we took her up to the room, and then he told me to get lost. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, you had to do the job. That's great. What a
Are you coming to?
wingman.
Are you, are
What a
you coming?
wingman.
Are you coming to my show when I'm in Manchester?
I'll be there. I'll be there.
So I'm doing 2 days of it. You got to remind me of some of these stories to tell.
Okay, you are literally like the infinite onion, Bill. You have got so many layers, so many incredible stories to tell. We can't wait.
Onions only belong on White Castle hamburgers. Next question.
Talk about, yeah, the White Castles. Who was famous for eating the White Castles, Bill?
Oh, all the boys. I used to
Yeah.
go when I was a kid. I'd go to
They were what, a
Sunnyside
quarter a
Gardening.
piece? Yeah.
No, they were 12 cents when I was
12
growing
cents.
up.
Okay.
But I would go to Sunnyside Garden in Queens with my father, and Antonino Rocca would go on the interviews. You have to take care of your body, you have to take care of your mind. Right next door was White Castle. So as soon as the wrestlers got out there, they'd get 20 million White Castles and on to the next town. There goes you got to be good to your body and good to your mind.
Wow. You know what? We have a huge show coming up. It always creates a massive buzz. It's Royal Rumble season. I mean, it's just right around the corner. And is there any surprise entrance over the history that really just made you go, wow, really popped in your opinion? Is there anyone that you could think of that made a
Not off the
just a,
top of my head. Is this going to air before the Rumble?
No, this was
it'll be
going to
after.
go out the day after.
Yeah.
Okay, because I've already decided not to take away my entrance in number 30.
You,
I decided I don't want to travel to
so
Saudi Arabia.
the trip to
No,
Saudi is just
cancel,
too much. Jet
cancel.
lag,
But I
just
do, I do think that if I'm right, and this is after the Rumble, that Powerhouse Hobbs
oh,
probably performed under a new name,
okay. Interesting.
and
I like it.
probably Chris Jericho.
See that Tom and I had this discussion last week, and we were thinking that Chris would not debut in Saudi just because we felt the reception would be different than it would be stateside.
Yeah, and Fozzie's here in Manchester
Right.
next week, so
Oh, yeah.
that might tie in with a little negativity. He's way away from the negativity, but you revealing that
Fozzy,
you could be 30. I had Brian pegged for 30, to be honest.
I'm
He's a
out.
former number 30.
oh no,
I,
I took his place and I went out. I figured out. No, but
You can have
surprise
mine.
entrance. Surprise entrance. I don't remember any real surprises that
Yeah.
off the top of my head. So that part of my historian brain is not thinking
We're,
at the moment.
and I'm the same way. I was just trying to think of,
I've
it's
covered so much of it. It's
yeah,
like
yeah. It does run
all
together.
like
We do the same thing with the show this week.
Hornswoggle. Hornswoggle.
Hornswoggle. There you go.
Yes. Yes. Hornswoggle.
I like it. I like it.
I always thought the biggest one for me, and this was a literal mark out moment, even in my adult years, was Edge returning in
Oh
2020,
yeah.
just before the lockdown.
Now you
That
just said something. You said something that old school people would take offense at. Mark
mark
out
out
moment.
moment.
Mark was a term used in the kayfabe days for a fan.
Yeah.
That's what it was used. If you said mark to a wrestler, I remember when Steve Corino was leaving an arena back 20 years ago. Fan says, "Hey Steve, I'm a mark for you," and Steve said, "What does that mean? What are you talking about?" I was so pleased to hear that.
He was the king of the old school, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He was amazing. We love Steve Corino.
So since you're in England, whatever happened to a gentleman who I really liked and booked me 3 times in England, Alex Shane? Where is he these days?
I've no idea. He seems to have disappeared. Let's see if we can retrace the steps and bring Alex Shane back. Because Alex
Yeah,
Shane had
he
so
was
many
so
good.
nice to me. He booked me several times. He never booked me after. Anyway, I'm sorry. You got me stuck on Terry Funk
I
now.
know.
I do hundreds of wrestling imitations. Actually, I end my show in a very special way doing wrestling imitations, but I don't want to let it out of the bag right now.
All right. Well, speaking of all the different imitations that you do, that could be a direct answer to my next question, because I'm going to ask you: were there ever any moments when publishing stories about professional wrestlers led to scary or tense encounters afterwards?
Oh, yes, extremely so. And it's in the book. Hold on 1 minute.
Love it. Great stuff.
Gotta get me ice here.
Hit the ice.
It's like he planned it. That's got
No, I
English
always have
banter in
3
it.
bottles. I always have my Tic Crack and my sparkling ice.
He told us about it, and there it is. Magically.
I can get this through customs. So 2 stories with the same guy. I'll tell you one of them. I had called, we were going to do a story on Randy Savage's comeback. And I cleared with him the headline, really do it. And the story was going to be that a fan, while he was coming back to win the WCW title, the thing that spurred him on is some fan yelled out, "Hey, old man, you'll never win the title." Ran it past him on the phone. He said, "Do what you want if you think it's going to be okay." I said, "Yeah." So the story comes out. I run into Eric Bischoff at a hotel, and he says, "You know, Randy Savage is looking to kill you." Randy was a scary guy. He never had, you never knew which, Randy was like Scott Steiner. You never knew which Randy you were going to get, right? So I'm in Baltimore, backstage. Everybody's coming through backstage. Hey, Apter, hey, Apter. And I've got a plaque for him for comeback of the year. And he takes the plaque and he throws it against the wall. Comeback of the year. Can I curse on here? Is that permitted?
Sure.
You son of a bitch. Come here. Kevin Sullivan calls Kevin Sullivan over. Kevin was running the show. And he takes us to this little hallway, which is like the size of the screen here. And he had Kevin stand in between us. And we're nose to nose. You son of a bitch. Come on, take a swipe at me. Come on, you son of a bitch. Kevin has no idea what's going on. So I will give you the placard. Old man, you know you fucking could have cost me my deal with Slim Jim. They called me up and said, "What the fuck are you, an old man?" Because I said, "I called you, shut the fuck up." I said, "Randy, you were at my house a few weeks ago. You met my kids. Oh, you damn kids, F them." He's going crazy. And I could see the red in his eyes. I mean, I was terrified. So I didn't know what was going to happen. So he's calling if Kevin Sullivan wasn't there, I think he would have hit me, but he wanted me to hit him first so Sullivan could have said I took the first shot. And I'm a skinny coward, so I'm not going to do that. So I called Stu Sachs, the editor of the magazine, to say, "Don't take that from him. But he's going to wrestle Ric Flair that night." So I went around the ring to shoot pictures, and Flair had Nancy with him, Nancy Benoit, Nancy, who I adored. Yeah, she was with him. And during the match, packed house, she starts playing with my hair. "Oh, Mr. Bill." I had hair back then. "Oh, Mr. Bill, Mr. Bill." He looks at that. he looks at the referee, he goes, time, walks over to where I'm shooting pictures, said, put the camera down a little bit, which I did, and then he spit in my face like Vince McMahon spit in the face of Bret Hart. Bret Hart spit in the face of Randy Savage. I stayed and I shot the match.
Wow.
So now every club I went where he was, I try to talk to him. Didn't want any part of me. So I figured, how the heck am I going to fix this? Because I have a good reputation in the business. And a lot of people knew that, he was a firecracker. So I called the one man I knew who could probably fix this, and that was Hulk Hogan. And he said, brother, I'll take care of it. So about 3 weeks later, I'm in Florida to do a story on At Home with Hulk Hogan. Hogan picks me up to the airport, drives me to a gym. There's one person in this empty gym, and he's sitting with his back to the door. Hogan and I walk in, he gets up, and it's Randy Savage. And I thought Hogan set me up. I thought Savage was going to kill me. Randy comes over, great mood, hugs me and says, hey man, I'm sorry. He says, it was the, didn't use the word drugs. It was the, what else would they call it? Not drugs. It was the medication. I apologize. I was out of line and I didn't mean to do that. I love you, brother. Whew. Duty in the pants like you never saw before. Yeah.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I have,
Story.
that was one of 2 times with him. The other one, get the book.
What a great plug for the book. Go out of your way, guys. Go out of your way. If you can, please pick up Bill's spectacular book. Is Wrestling Fixed? Finish it off, Bill.
No, I didn't know it was broken. And it's still not. I'm still going to say that. I still watch it. I still watch it. And I still believe sometimes too. And I'm so glad that AEW is here because guys have other places to work.
Yeah.
And having, even if they don't consider it competition, having another company out there with such a high profile and TV, such high profile TV, makes everyone better. It used to be back in the day in WWF, NWA doesn't mean anything, blah, blah, but it did. But they'd never mention that at all. And they won't mention AEW. Of course not. But everybody knows there's another product out there. Everybody knows that Ring of Honor is out there. Everybody knows the smart fans follow Japan. And you know what? A few months ago, I went to a small indie show in Quakertown, Pennsylvania, at the Q Mart, Quakertown Farmers Market. And I walked in, and a lot of the indie guys knew who I was, and they had driven like 2 hours to make $25. But the fans all believed it was just no-name indie guys, and they put on such a great pro wrestling show that reminded me of my days going to the matches, where I didn't question anything. I was part of the show because I was part of the interactive audience, and I still am when I go to wrestling shows.
Absolutely.
Bryan,
Bill, you're not, just so you know, and I want to say this for everybody that I know in this business, we all love you, man, and just
thank
so
you.
love what you have done, and just a sweetheart of a guy. And I'll
Thank you.
tell the world, man, it's always fun, and you learn so much just listening to your stories. And
I appreciate that.
yeah,
I'm old school in the new school world. Let me ask you two something. Do either of you do any wrestling invitations?
not to do them justice, I would say no.
Well, look,
Nothing like yours.
Nothing like Bill.
Nothing
No.
like
no, but that's okay. I've been doing them since I was a kid, and I'm older than you.
yeah. Are you
My
want to
first one was Antonino Rocca.
Okay.
We had a little Antonino Rocca before, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Rock on. Buddy Rogers was my second one. Well, you know something, Pally, these guys might have the body, but they don't have the brains. That was so. Tell me who you can do badly.
So whenever I was growing up, I've got the surname of Finkill. So, or
Oh,
obviously the go-to would be, ladies and gentlemen, coming down the aisle, weighing in at 275 pounds from 3 Mile Island, Adam Bomb.
that
We
really was not too good.
thanks,
Very.
thanks.
You got to put it over. Come on.
Got to put it over. What about you, Brian?
Oh, nobody that I can
Give me
really think
your
of.
worst one. It's okay.
Oh, well, I would try a Savage, but then there was one of was it Tiger Chung Lee, and he would say, "Don't worry, brother. I know where we're at. We're not lost, brother. See the formation of the trees right there? I know where we're at." That's
Sounds
yeah.
like that sounds like Abdullah. He used to do the same.
Well, that was a little Tiger Chung Lee.
Oh, Brian, what about this one? All I'm going to do is this.
Oh, yes, of course, the greatest Canadian superstar of all time, Iron Mike Sharp. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute.
Wait a minute, I got one for you. Ask me as Bret Hart why I came back to WWF.
Brett,
ask
please
you
tell
as
us.
Bret Hart. So Bret Hart, why did you come back to the WWF?
To get enough money to clear my throat. Anyway, I love Bret Hart. So if you're watching this, you know it's all shtick.
There you go.
I
That's
used to
all.
talk to Stu Hart where a 2-minute conversation turned into an hour. Hi, Stu, how are you? Well, I'm uh well well, you see, back in 1951, and it would go on and on and on. I used to get
Did you ever
you,
visit the Stu Hart house, his big house
no,
there?
never got there. Never
Okay.
got there. Never got
Great.
there. The other story that I always talk about, and it's in the book, is that I'm the guy who made the first volley of sports entertainment. I'm the guy who introduced Andy Kaufman to Jerry Lawler.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we were going to talk about that. Tomcat, did you have a question that was something to do with the great
Definitely.
Andy Kaufman? And I mean, Bill
I'm a New
brought it up.
Yorker.
So
I'm a New Yorker. It's Kaufman.
Andy
Kaufman.
Kaufman. Yeah,
Kaufman.
little taxi. Well, it was. Yeah, we definitely got something on our show notes as we built all the research
Yeah,
around
I was trying to
your show
think.
today. I was just very conscious of your time, so we built everything around it. However, we could definitely drop that banger in that beautiful story. Let's take it back. Let's take it back because, as I understand it, Andy Kaufman took a little trip up north to meet up with Vince McMahon Sr. in regards to being involved in the
It
professional
was not. It
business.
was not an appointment. It was not an
Okay.
actual appointment. You know, he never made plans. He showed up at the Garden. Everybody knew who he was, and he came backstage.
Okay. Elaborate.
Yeah, let me hear
So he
this.
was talking to Vince Sr. about wanting to wrestle, and Vince said, "You know, we don't put show business people in our." So Andy came over to me. He knew who I was from the magazine. I had never met him before. We got to talking, and he said, "So what are you doing?" Now remember, he was starring in Taxi, like the top-rated TV comedy back in the day. And he said, "What are you doing after the matches?" I said, "I'm going home." He said, "How do you get there?" I said, "I take the subway." He said, "Can I go with you?" So I'm riding on the subway, packed full of people with Andy Kaufman from Taxi, and people are looking. They're going, is that him? So I go up to my apartment in Queens, New York, where I was living with my best friend at the time, Susan Sexton, who was Australian wrestling champion, and we had an apartment together. And every other word out of her mouth was the F bomb. So we walked into the apartment. He says, "Hey, Bill. Hello. Oh, is that effing Andy Kaufman?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, sit down. What the F are you doing here?" And he's talking that he wanted to be Fred Blassie and he wanted to be Buddy Rogers. And after about 2 hours of talking wrestling, she got sick of it. She went in the bedroom, put on her headphones, blasted the Ramones, Gabba Gabba Hey, DDT did a job on me. And I said, "Vince McMahon Sr. is not going to let you do this." And I got a friend in Memphis who might do that. Let's call him. He said, well, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I said, we're wrestling people. We're up all night. I said, it's Jerry Lawler. He knew who he was from the magazines. I said, he's got guys working. He's the Mummy, Frankenstein. This. So I called Jerry Lawler. I'm going to do something that young fans today won't know what it is. Right. I get Lawler on the phone. He says, you got Andy Kaufman, the guy from Taxi, in your roach-infested apartment. I said, yeah. I put them on the phone, and that put the key in the ignition, and he and Jerry Jarrett took it from there. So that started the whole biggest, even to today, thing of sports entertainment and pro wrestling, because Comedy Central still runs it. People, TV Guide named that one of the top 10 things when he was on the David Letterman show.
Yeah.
And
Love
I was
that
there
one.
taking pictures behind the camera. Craig Peters and I were,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. That Letterman moment was just worked
I was
so
there and
perfect.
I was
Wow.
there. And if you want to know what happened in the hotel room afterwards, once again, is wrestling fixed?
Get the book.
I didn't know it was broken.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
So
we've got to put this on our screen here.
my one man show is going to be at the Cantina at the and I think it only seats like 30 to 50 people because I need my show to be in an enclosed room. I did it once in an arena. It was terrible. I never again. This is like again, it's a sit down, enjoy it type of show. So
Now, the Cantina is a spectacle. It is a sight to behold because if ever you've watched the original Star Wars movies, the Cantina is the actual cantina that they showed where Han Solo shot Greedo the alien. So it's
oh,
all
I hope that's not going to happen to me.
well, let's hope not, but just beware. Just beware. Welcome to Manchester.
Do they have can they set that up for like theater seating, theater style seating?
I have no idea, but once that plane lands, Bill, we will greet you with open arms and give you a good tour of the facilities.
Oh, I can't wait. I haven't been to England in about 10 years. And um, the last time one of my dear friends, Phil Austin, he knows I'm a Stan Laurel and Oliver Hardy nut. And he drove me to where Stan Laurel was born, to that town. And we spent a whole day there. And oh, that was one of my favorite places. We went to the Laurel and Hardy Museum. You know who Stan Laurel was?
Absolutely.
You certainly do. He was one of my first imitations too.
That's why I mesh my hair like this, right?
I don't have enough hair to do that, but we're certainly going to go there, I hope, again.
And another fine mess you've got me into.
Well, I didn't know. Anyway, oh, he knows what I'm talking about. And then on Monday, one of my friends who I grew up with in New York, Bruce Sachs, who moved to England about 40 years ago, is meeting with me and taking me to Liverpool because I've never been to Liverpool before.
Well, enjoy.
Yeah.
Liverpool is a city of culture. It's truly vibrant. Go and visit the home of the Beatles and enjoy every minute.
And my other two British things, one is Wales because I grew up as a huge fan, not Mark, of Tom Jones, one of the great balladeers of all time. People all think, it's not unusual. He's one of the best ballad singers. If you listen to some of his ballads, like I've been in love so many times, he's got that real resonating voice. And Anthony Newley was my showbiz hero growing up. He wrote two Broadway shows that debuted in England, Stop the World, I Want to Get Off, and The Roar of the Grease Paint. And he wrote all the songs for Willy Wonka. And yes, of course, I'll do one. Come with me and you'll be in the world of pure imagination. Take a look and you'll see. Yeah, I can't wait to go back to England, but mainly to see a lot of my old friends there. Steve Linsky, the referee, Johnny Storm, Jody Fleisch. I miss all these guys. I really do.
Well,
we
we're going
hope
to be
yeah.
welcoming you back with open arms. It's going to be an amazing time.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Any other questions before? I still have some time if you want to,
Oh,
if you have a few more questions.
let me look here. I'm sure we love to have you for a minute or two extra. Absolutely. How about let's talk about Paul Heyman and what he's got going on now with his new stable of
That
guys.
pain in the ass photographer. I would
Yeah,
be standing there along at ringside at Madison Square Garden with George Napolitano, Frank Amato, superstar Billy Graham would get Dusty Rhodes in an arm like, say, Willie, take this picture and get ready to do it. Boom, the elbow. Heyman
wow.
got the picture. Yeah. I am so proud of what he has become. What a great guy. What a fabulous person. What a great entrepreneur to be someone that really is helping run that company. No matter
Yeah.
what they say he is or what he does there, he is, he was trained, not actually trained, but he took in the knowledge of Ernie Roth, the Grand Wizard, Lou Albano, and Fred Blassie. And he has, if you listen to some of his current interviews,
Yeah.
sometimes I think he's Lou Albano, sometimes I think he's the Grand Wizard.
He's so strong of a personality on the WWE television.
Oh,
You can tell that he has all those guys sitting under the learning tree. And Tom and I talked about this last week, but we just think it's going to help them so much in their career.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, they got to
Well,
really know how lucky they are to be able to
he,
absorb
he,
that knowledge, be that sponge in the room, because Paul's done it all, and he's a
he
Hall of
is
Famer.
absolutely wonderful. Yeah, and he's still doing it all.
Still doing it.
He's not nearly done.
Oh no, I could see him having a definitely a long running career, just about as long as he would want. Honestly,
And he ran
he's
that
that talented, you know.
and he ran that company. What was it? E
Oh, something was it?
C Dub, EC
EC,
Dub.
EC, yeah, yeah, that's it, yeah. Oh,
You
we had a
notice, by the way,
yeah.
you notice, by the way, that the AEW fans are now saying AEW, and to me, the audience that was ECW,
Mhm.
it's a new era of ECW fan in AEW because it's the same, and I love it. There's nothing
I
wrong
agree.
with the fan; it's a great fan. But the fan that goes to AEW is more of that hardcore wrestling fan. They know all the guys from Japan and all the guys from Mexico, and yeah, I think they cater to. And Tony Khan, grew up watching ECW and Ring of Honor, so I
Right.
think his mentality is he caters to that fabulous fan base
Yeah.
of hardcore.
And March the 7th in Tucson, we will have AEW for the first time. So that's going to be a
Oh,
big deal
wow.
here in the Southwest, no doubt about it. And another ECW legend we just had a couple of weeks ago, we had Raven
Oh,
on the show.
what a
Yes.
great guy. What a
Yeah.
great guy.
Really
Yeah,
enjoyed having him.
we did.
You're
It was a
raving
reunion.
about Raven.
It was a Johnny Polo Adam Bomb reunion show, and it worked so amazingly well.
So as long as you go, how far back in UK history do you go?
As in, so World of Sport was really sort of my preeminence in the wrestling history sections. So it was Big Daddy versus Giant Haystacks was as
So
probably as far as I go back.
the reason I ask is someone who became a recluse, moved to England when he was one of my favorite characters when I was growing up was Ricky Starr.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, he was a ballet dancing wrestler. He made $1 million here and he eventually went to England. And I never got to meet him, but one time when Stanley Weston, my mentor, died, they were very close friends. Somebody gave me Ricky Starr's phone number and I called him and he didn't say it was him. I said, "Can I speak to Ricky Starr?" And he says, "Well, who's calling?" And I said, "Bill Apter. I was an editor under Stanley Weston. And what was this about?" He said, "What is this about?" I said, well, I wanted to let him know that Mr. Weston passed away. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. And then he caught himself like it was him. It was, I said, listen, if you're him, I just want to let you know that he loved you very much. And I did too, growing up in New York. He said, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And that was my only contact with him.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was one on my actual bucket list as well that I would have loved to have made contact with, and unfortunately the time just didn't align in terms of my actual working within the wrestling industry and his time on the planet Earth. And it was only a couple of years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, that I actually found out that he lived 4 miles down the road, and that was one half of the legendary tag team, the British Bulldogs. It was
Oh,
Dynamite Kid Tommy Billington, lived 4 miles down the road.
I'm lucky I got to meet Billington when Alex Shane brought me in. I had never met him before that. I had met Davey Boy a bunch of times, but never Tom Billington, because those were the days we were banned from coming to the events.
Yeah.
Um, and I think if I'm right, his daughter is going to be at For the Love of Wrestling.
Yes, yes, she is. Yes.
She lives probably about 10 miles from me, and I've never met her. So in order to meet her, I'm going to England. Well, Steve Corino used to live 2 miles from me. We'd only see each other in Germany and in England. It's
It,
amazing.
it's a crazy old world, right? It is a crazy old world, and we cannot wait to welcome you to the other side of
Likewise.
it from where you are right now as you make your trip across the pond for the love of wrestling, coming to the BEC Arena on February the 21st and 22nd. I can't wait to see you. Just before we wrap everything up, Bryan, ask Bill a little bit about karaoke.
Yeah, Bill, we were trying to figure out, maybe Tomcat and the Bomber here trying to guess what is your go-to song in karaoke.
There's a few of them depending upon the crowd.
Okay, so
If it's a real young crowd, yeah, Copacabana. Yo, her name was Lola. She was a showgirl at the freaking Copacabana.
that is great. I love that.
If it's a serious crowd, it's my way. If it's a seated crowd that listens to the lyrics, okay, I do it my own way. I don't do it like Sinatra did.
Okay.
I generally my go-to song is I work the whole crowd. I do Can't Smile Without You, Barry, but I work the whole room. I don't stand still and sing.
That's true. In September, he was all over the place.
I saw the
All
videos.
over. Yeah, yeah.
Where was that in September?
That was in September. Was New Jersey?
Oh yes,
Parsippany.
yeah.
Parsippany. Yeah.
Parsippany. I
Yeah.
used to love. There was a. That's where the Savoldi family is from.
Oh.
But there was a ring announcer named Joe McHugh. Whenever he'd introduce Angelo Savoldi, he'd go, and from Parsippany, New Jersey. Yeah, but uh, I before there was karaoke, I sang. I in the Catskill Mountains for 3 years. I love singing, and I'll tell this story live at my one-man show about the first time I ever did it was in Japan with Haku, and then Terry Funk and Ted DiBiase, who pulled a rib on me that was one of the funniest ribs in history. You have to remind me to tell this during my one-man show. One of the best stories ever. I can't believe we screwed Apter like that, Teddy.
And Haku was a part of it. You cannot forget that.
Yes,
Bobcat.
yes,
That has
yes.
to. He's going to have to relay that to me. I got to hear it also.
So I'm gonna end this with so for all my little babies, all my little colors, all my little white babies, black babies, Chinese babies, wonderful Willie needs to see you at the BEC, if you will.
Fantastic. Bill, I just want to thank you, man, for sharing all your memories. What
Thank
an
you.
incredible career documenting this business of professional wrestling that we all love. But you are, my friend, you are a true legend, a class act, and an absolute gentleman. And we thank you so much for spending some time with us today here on the Meltdown.
I'd love to do this again.
Oh, fantastic. Even better. people out that are listening around the world, they would love to have Bill Apter part two.
And please send me the link for this so I can share it with all my, I call my, you see the after chat here. So
Yes.
I call my legion of fans after chatters. So I'm
Like it.
asking all my after chatters to, make sure you follow this wonderful podcast. And I thank you both for having me here.
An absolute
Okay.
pleasure. An absolute pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen,
What?
he
Wait,
is a
wait, wait,
true.
wait, what? What? I didn't do that. I'm sorry. Hold on. Half a pound of tuppenny rice, half a pound of treacle. That's the way the money goes. Oh, goes the weasel. Okay, got it. Anthony Newley.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. You do that so much better than I could possibly do it. Ladies and gentlemen, we can't wait to welcome him to Manchester. He is the one. He is the only. He is a true wrestling legend. It's Bill Apter!
It's me.
What a conversation with the leader of the Aptomags. I literally sifted through my attic to find a few today, and I'm so proud that I did. I grew up on these when I was a kid, and a question that we didn't get to ask Bill, which I may elaborate on in part two. Yes, my dad, as I was growing up, was a newsagent.
Yes.
He had a magazine and a newspaper shop, and he carried all of the Aptomags. So it was a case of when I knew it was new magazine day on that particular month, I would be there behind the counter, scooping them all up and getting as much information as I could that I could then go and spout at school. Yes, I've been doing this for a very long time. What a fun conversation. Thank you so much to Bill for joining us here on The Meltdown. And just before we wrap things up, we've got a very interesting Meltdown mailbag question. And for all of you Meltdown listeners out there, we want to hear from you guys. If you've got questions for the creation of devastation, now is your time to get them in. Drop us a little message on our Instagram page. Our official tag is at the Meltdown Official. All you need to do is send us a little DM and let us know what you want to pose to the bomber. So, Caleb Peterson has sent us a little message that asks you the question from your perspective, Bryan. Who are the greatest heels in professional wrestling history? Good question.
Wow. Wow, that covers so many eras, you know. I'm just sort of thinking of who I watched and who I would think of with that kind of heat. My mentor right away, I'm going to think of Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. He was he could get so much heat on television. If you think about all the heat he had with Hogan
Yeah.
back in the day, you know, our man Bill Apter was just talking about the sellouts in Madison Square Gardens, and those two were a big part of that. But also, I think of the Iron Sheik. I mean, how could you forget about Sheiky Baby? There's two. There's so many more. You can't just really name one, but Ravishing Rick Rude,
Mm-hmm.
another one with that type of heat. Um, but yeah, Sheik's up there. Paul's up there. Man, there's so many. We could go down the list and I could pick one from each year. But it was so awesome chatting with Bill Apter today. I forgot to ask him. I'm glad you just mentioned the story about how you were introduced with the magazines at your dad's place. I think that's so cool. I was when I was going down our questions, I'm like, gosh, I hope Tom gets that question in, you know.
Yeah, we definitely get it in part two because
Part two.
even with our post show amble that we've just had with Bill before we said goodbye, was that we are going to be setting up a part two for the meltdown. So yeah, I'm going to definitely drop that in. But we want your questions as well, guys. So please feel free to send us your questions when it comes to wrestling legends. If there are people that you would like us to approach to appear on the meltdown, now's your opportunity. Let your voice be heard because we, just like CM Punk, are the voice of the voiceless. And I think it might be time to drop an absolute exclusive right now, Bryan, as to our next guest, so that our listeners can start sending some beautiful questions down. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea. I
Do you
love it.
want to bat it up?
I think that since we went with a gentleman just a couple of weeks ago who had an affiliation with me
Mhm.
in WWF, that being the fantastic Johnny Polo. That's right. The man with all the polo ponies and the manager of the creation of Devastation, Adam Bomb. He started out before he became Raven. We know what a great success that was, but he actually had a few personas prior to, but with me personally, he was my manager in WWF, Johnny Polo. But right after Johnny Polo, I had another manager slash friend of mine. We're still friends. As a matter of fact, Tomcat, I missed the call from him last night.
No way.
I missed the call from him last night, so maybe I'll try to return that call in case he sees this and I didn't forget it. I'm talking about the one and the only Harvey Whippleman, WWF, WWE manager extraordinary. He's had so many talents that he was managing back in the day, still part of WWE to this very day. And man, that's going to be so much fun. I haven't got to talk to Harvey in so many years. So yeah, if you got questions for Harvey, if you got questions for Downtown Bruno from Memphis, hey, we'll get to it.
Now's your time to shine. And I want to elaborate this so much. Again, he is another vibrant onion. I want to get down to it. Do you know that Harvey is a former WWE Women's Champion? Did you know that?
He did manage Bertha Faye at one time.
He did.
You remember that? Is it that tie-in?
Nope, not at all.
Oh.
He himself is a WWE Women's Champion as he dressed in drag as his alter ego Harvina and actually won the women's title. So that's something that we're going to touch base on.
Wow.
That's a deep cut right there.
Did not know that. That's great. I love
It's
it.
what it's all about here on the Meltdown. So next week, that is the star name that you guys have been waiting for. It's another reunion that you've been clamoring to get, and we're going to bring it to you here on the Meltdown as Adam Bomb reunites with Harvey Whippleman. Well, it's been a pleasure. An absolute dream has come true as we literally sifted through the brain cells of one of professional wrestling's most notable and talented journalists, Bill Apter. We're ready for another amazing week. Hope you guys have enjoyed the Royal Rumble because by the time this comes out, we'll be about 48 hours out of there. Let's find out who was pointing at that WrestleMania sign. But I'm ready for Bryan to wrap this up in a nice big bow. But from here in Manchester, my name's Tom Finkill. We will see you all next week. Boom.
Once again, another amazing show. The maestro of the Meltdown himself, Tomcat, does such a great job. I'm going to tell you, it's my pleasure working with him each and every week. And having Bill Apter on, I mean, hey, shoes ain't cheap and booking ain't easy. And Tomcat is managed to get a hold of some really fantastic guests. I'm looking very forward to, like I said, that was a shoot when I told you I missed his phone call last night. Wow. That was absolutely true. So I'm looking forward to talking to Harvey slash our good friend Bruno, Downtown Bruno himself, the Memphis legend. So, man, we've got so many great guests coming up. And I'm so glad you guys are liking and subscribing and you're giving us all your questions because we're here to answer them. We're going to do our best we can. So until next week, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Much love from the Tomcat and the Bomber. You guys have a great week. Always breaking necks and cashing checks.
Boom.